Just want to open up this EQ, the Pro Q2, and show you the visually the change between the Helios and the EQ change in and out. Feels like we could use a little bit more something in the mid-range. Cool. Okay, so we'll just copy those over. It feels like a little bit of reverb is a good thing. Just gives it a little bit of haze and makes it feel connected to everything else that's going on. That feels like it could use some cool delay. Delay 1 is a mono delay, and then delay 2 is a stereo delay. It feels like because I've got this leading guitar panned up the middle, which feels like the right spot for it, it could use a little bit of delay. So I'm going to put the stereo delay on it, and let's just see what we set up here. Feels like it could be longer. I think I liked it where it was originally. Could be a little bit more return or send to it. Feels like it could use a little bit of EQ, but I'm gonna use a different EQ. Another EQ that I like for rock guitars is the Trident EQ. Oh, it's called the A range. That's what it is. Why am I not finding it? Come on, Jacquire. It's learn to spell. There it is. Trident A range, amazing console. Has a very peculiar, cool EQ. There's a lot of phase interaction with these things. It was a British console made in the 70s. Some made it to America. I think there was like less than 24 of them made, but a lot of really famous records got made on them, especially a lot of rock records. I think some of my favorite Trident A range records are some of the Bowie records. So it's just for this kind of like really small, slinky, kind of cool guitar. It just has sort of the right tone and feel. Just sort of cranked up a little 8K and gave it a little bit of bottom at 150, and that sort of did it for me. And that's the thing about choosing different EQs, have different tones. It's like I've pulled up API and SSL on the drums. You know, I used an API on the bass, but I used a different style of API. Now I'm using the Trident and Helios on guitars. Helios was used on Rolling Stones, tons of British albums. I mean, Jimi Hendrix, the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin. So it's like that, like the Helios and the Trident stuff just kind of reminds me of like great guitar sounds and tones. And you know, so pulling up all these different EQs, they have different EQ points, they have different tones. It's not too much overlapping stuff. You can kind of find different pockets to boost things up and change things. And like the Helios, the top end on the Helios, this is 10K. This is a shelf, 10K shelf that I whacked up on the rhythm guitars, and then a little bit of poke at 2K, and then the Trident's got 8K peak, and then 150. So just kind of making things fit around each other and find their own little holes is really good. Now I'm curious if I take the guitar reverb send and I put it on this delay 2 send or return, so it's kind of like similar to the way we were doing the vocal, where the micro pitch shift is the effect that's feeding the second reverb. Let's see if sending any of this guitar delay that's on the sort of the leading line in the chorus is cool in the reverb at all. I do not think so at all. It makes it, here, I'll just, I mean, I know what I'm listening for, so I'll just A-B it again for you. It just like all that definition and forward, cool, aggressive feeling that I had just built up on the guitar and gave it a little bit of dimension and space with the delay. As soon as I put the reverb on there, it's like working backwards. I'm losing all that sort of cool forward feeling. Makes it feel sleepy too. And that could be, the sleepy feeling could be because the delay is what's feeding the reverb. So it has to go through the delay before it gets to the reverb. So it's making the sound sit way, like part of the sound sit way behind the rhythm. It's just not necessary at all. We got this cool, very heavy demo guitar still in here. It's mono. I kind of want to do something to it that's going to make it feel stereo, and this is another job for the micro shift because it has a mix knob on it. Cool. Makes it feel very like 90s grunge rock to me. It's subtle. It's subtle in terms of like how much of it I have blended in, and how dramatic the effect is. But when I switch it in and out, it makes the guitar picture so much wider and cooler, and makes it just feel just more of a thing and glued together across the whole left and right. I'm going to play with just a little bit more with it solo, and I'll switch it in and out. Cool. And now, why did I think of using the microshift on that one guitar part? Well, it's kind of because that's one of the. Why do we like double guitars? Because of the slight intonation, and it's not that the tuning's bad. It's just the way that the strings are ringing, and the rhythm that it's played, and just the slight differences in the way all the notes in the chord are voicing. It widens it because it's not all exactly the same in terms of pitch and frequency resonance happening all at the same time. It makes it kind of move around. And so putting a micro pitch shift on there with a little bit of detuning and a little bit of delay, focused on the right frequency, is giving that feeling, and it's spreading it out, making it stereo. I'm going to make it feel even more stereo and put like a widener on it. So we're going to put the Precision K stereo. So what this does, I don't want it to necessarily make it deeper. I'm going to, let's see. So the micro shift has made it a little bit more stereo, but I'm making it super wide. And we don't need the deep enhancement. We just want the wide enhancement. Now I'm going to turn the EQ filter on. I don't need all this like super low stuff getting too wide. That's going to make the bottom end and it feel a little unstable. Okay, we're starting to get the guitars rocking. I think that making that super wide like that's cool. That's what we started with. All right, and so I turn the sides up. I put in MS so I can change the mid side gain. I just turn the middle down a little bit and the sides up a little bit. So there we go. So now it's time now that we got the guitars, paid a little attention to most of the guitar parts, we will come back to this sort of these other bits, but we've got the main stuff happening. So let's just loop something up here for a minute, and then I'm going to mess with the the guitar bus. We don't have, I think everything is in guitar bus 1, that's true, so we do not need the secondary guitar bus. I use the secondary guitar, well, for the moment, I'll leave it in there. I use the secondary guitar bus unless if I have a lot of guitars and I don't want to process them all together, or I want to treat them a little different for a different section of the song. However it might be, I have like just a duplicate to choose bus 1 or 2. Right now we're just using bus 1. Let's kind of mess with that a little bit. I think it could have a little bit more bite and aggression. Here we have the vintage warmer, and we've kind of already got it set up. I feel like I need to change the knee a little bit. Either need to relax it or increase it a little bit to get a little bit more bite out of it. Holding on to what I've done, won't carry the weight of my crimes, I'm just burying, won't put out the fire tonight. I light it up and let it burn, won't silence the truth they deny, So I turn the knee up a few percent, which makes it a little bit more aggressive, and then I reduce the speed a little bit so that letting go a little bit faster. These are very fizzy. There's a lot of fizzy distortion going on. So I don't want to. The slower the speed is, the more it kind of just smooth things out. I kind of want all those dynamic, bubbling, fizzy frequencies to kind of just keep percolating and just kind of keep buzzing. So. That's why I changed that. There's a little bit of EQ going on here. I'm gonna mess with that. It feels like I could use just a touch more top end. And so I didn't change how much boost there was. It was like about a dB and a quarter. But what I did, the frequency was a little bit higher than 13. It was, I don't know, maybe close to 15. Just brought it down a little bit. Same idea as on the stereo mix bus EQ with that high frequency shelf. I'm just kind of like reaching down into those mid-range frequencies where the guitars actually live a bit more. Just like if we just observe this again on this sound. You can see right here, and this is very common with electric guitars, when you get up to like 5K, the speakers in an electric guitar amp, just like they don't really reproduce that really high frequency stuff. That's what tweeters are about. Like in the speakers we listen to, the larger drivers have a limited frequency response in the high end, and so it rolls that stuff off. That's why we're always adding so much kind of. Well, not always. It just depends on the music. But that's like if you want to open the top end and brightness of a guitar, I mean, obviously you're going to want to do some EQ in the primary fundamental of the guitar tone, which is, obviously there's weight and heaviness below 500 to 700 hertz. There's certainly good frequencies down there, but most of a guitar tone is between like 500 and 5K. So we tend to do a lot of primary EQing in there, but also EQing around that is to boost those extremities of the frequencies that get a little lost by the way that the sound is reproduced through an amp, and just the nature of pickups and the fidelity that those things have. They're like very, very mid-rangey focused. The one further thing that I'll just remind you about is the saturation bands on the back. I feel like we could use just a hair less low frequency saturation. Holding on to what I've done, won't carry the weight of my crimes, I'm just burying, won't put out the fire tonight. I light it up and let it burn, won't silence the truth. Yeah, that was the only change that really was needed, is just a little bit less of that low frequency saturation. Just kind of cleans it up a little bit, makes it just the good part of the tone hang in there a little bit better. Okay, so made a little bit of change there. There is the breakdown guitars. I want to check those out, see if they need any love. I'm not spending the rest of my life
crimes, yeah.
In this section, it feels like they could actually be a little smaller than they are.
Not spending the rest of my life holding on to what I've done. I won't carry the weight of my crimes, yeah.
So definitely, I'm not sure about this rolling off the top end, but definitely rolling the bottom end off makes them feel a little bit smaller, a little bit quieter, and you know, because Graham's voice gets a little lighter and more sort of personal feeling right in this moment. So it's just like, let's dial some of the size of the guitars back here. Plus, it's going to benefit us when it goes into the last chorus and everything gets loud and kind of hits down again. It's the bottom end is going to come back on the guitars. It's going to feel powerful.
Not spending the rest of my life holding on to what I've done. I won't carry the weight of my crimes, yeah.
That feels like the wrong kind of move. Maybe it needs a shelf as opposed to a low pass filter.
Not spending the rest of my life holding on to what I've done. I won't carry the weight of my crimes, yeah. Not spending the rest of my life holding on to what I've done. I won't carry the weight of my crimes, yeah. I won't put out the fire tonight. Light it up and let it burn. I won't silence the truth in the night, yeah.
So let's give these a little bit of atmosphere. Let's try reverb on one and the delay, that's mono delay on the other, and we'll just pan this delay a little bit away from the source.
Not spending the rest of my life holding.
Let's see. I think the tones are a little different, so I'm going to see if one is...
Unto what I've done, I won't carry the weight of my crimes, yeah. Not spending the rest of my life holding on to what I've done. I won't carry the weight of my crimes, yeah. I won't put out the fire and not spending the rest of my life holding on to what I've done.
I don't feel like the delay is a good idea, so I'm just going to leave that off.
Not spending the rest of my life holding on to what I've done. I won't carry the weight of my crimes, yeah. Not spending the rest of my life.
I think just a little bit of reverb on each of them is nice. Doesn't really, you don't really feel it as a distinct effect. It just kind of fills things out a little bit and kind of hangs out in the background. So. Okay, I've got this reverb on a few guitars, so I just want to, I think maybe just clearing up a little bit of the EQ on it could be cool.
Spending the rest of my life holding on to what I've done. I won't carry the weight of my crimes, yeah.
So taking away some of that like 400 or 500 cloudiness of the reverb gives us the benefit of the tone being spread out and across the stereo image, but that buildup that's kind of happening in where the sort of the primary mid-range of the fundamentals are, kind of pulling that back in the reverb sort of helps refocus the guitars in a good way.
Not spending the rest of my life.
All right, let's listen to, what is this electric guitar? That's just a little helper sound. Let's put a little EQ on it to clear up a little bit of that, and then I think we'll also try one of my favorite plugins, Valhalla Shimmer, on it. Give it a little bit of a vibe. Okay, so when we solo it up, obviously we hear it, and it's a very cool sound. But then I put the whole track back in, and you're like, well, I don't really hear it that much. It's not really intended to be the forward sound, but when I turn it on and off, listen to the louder leading part that's on these tracks. So listen to that guitar while I turn this on and off, this electric guitar sort of helper, and you'll hear how the tone isn't it's not as cool. It doesn't have as much vibrance and life. So yeah, sometimes it's good to have like doubling parts or supportive parts that are have very cool affected sounds on them to just sort of paint behind and give color and harmonics and harmony even sometimes to your primary parts. What else do we need to do? We need to check out these verse guitars.
I was on the run. So-called progress of our time. Then I heard a whisper in my ear. Put up for what's right, at least in our own eyes. Never stop to consider what a mess we become. Throwing out what is wise for what feels good at that time. Now I see the answer. Put up for what's right, at least in our own eyes.
This first guitar seems like it needs a little bit of a special sound. Let's give it a little bit of this Trident.
Put up for what's right, at least in our own eyes. Never stop to
it needs a different sound. So.
Put up for what's right, at least in our own eyes. Never stop to consider what a mess we become. Throwing out what is wise for what feels good at that time. Now put up for what's right, at least in our own eyes.
This feels. I don't like it sitting just in the middle, so I'm going to. I've panned it off to one side, and I'm going to put that mono delay on it that I decided not to use on the other guitar.
Put up for what's right, at least in our own eyes. Never stop to consider what a mess we become. Throwing out what put up for what's right, at least in our own eyes.
I got to figure out the right setting.
Put up for what's right, at least in our own eyes. Never stop to consider what a mess we become. Throwing out what is wise for what feels good at that time. Now I see the answer all too clear. Put up for what's right, at least in our own eyes. Never stop to consider what a mess we become. Throwing out what is wise for what feels good at that time. Now I put up for what's right, at least in our own eyes. Never stop to consider what a mess we become. Throwing out what is wise for what feels good at that time. Now I see. Put up for what's right, at least in our own eyes. Never stop to consider what a mess we become. Throwing
Made it a bit brighter, way up top, just to kind of open it up, the air up a little bit. I rolled a little bit more of the bottom end off because I want to have it be quiet, and I want it to really poke through. So I needed to get rid of some of that low end information that's kind of weighing it down and clouding it, so I could balance it quietly. Added the delay, which is panned to the opposite side, and then I threw a little bit of the delay into the reverb, just to kind of just give it a kind of a cool, spooky feeling. So let's see. I think that covers our guitars. There's an acoustic guitar that we haven't paid attention to in the chorus.
Not spending the rest of my life holding on to what I've done. Yeah, I'm just burying. I won't put up.
Just nice little bit of texture, rhythm. So it needs a little bit of EQ. See here again. First thing I do. First thing you should notice is I get sort of pull back some of the dominant frequencies. Do some subtractive EQ. Pull back some of the dominant frequencies that are kind of a little bit too forward. Kind of the muddy frequencies, things that are obscuring the brighter frequencies. I mean, solo it up. It's like it doesn't feel bright enough. Well, for me, the first move is not to go and grab the high end and turn that up necessarily. I hear that those like 200-300 stuff being too present and too forceful, too much. So let's dial that back a little bit first, and then let's find that sweet upper brightness to EQ.
And I'm spending the rest of my life holding on to what I've done. I won't carry the weight of my crimes, yeah. I'm just burying. I won't put out the fire tonight. That's the truth they deny, yeah.
A little bit of reverb on that guitar. Now you may be asked, like, well, hey man, that reverb and the electric guitar reverb are similar, or they're the same thing, but they're not exactly set up the same way. And it's just nice to have discrete reverbs for everything. To have a bunch of stuff in the same reverb is cool. It's a little bit older of a sound. It's more of a vintage sound. It reflects a time when people had less reverbs to use, and they had to combine sounds and reverbs. I like to be able, most of the time. Now, if I'm going, it's a choice, and I'm just sort of talking about history and why I say it might be an older sound, because it's reminiscent of the way things used to have to be done. I've got this tailor-made a little bit more for the acoustic to not be too bright. It's kind of rolling off some of the bass and treble, and a little bit of a different decay time as well. It's a little bit shorter. It's not so much about creating an expansive room sound on the acoustic guitar. It's just to kind of make the mid-range speak a little bit better, a little thicker, and just kind of give it a little bit of extra dimension. So I'm happy with that. There's not really much going on the bus. Sometimes it's nice to add in a little bit of parallel compression, but I don't really feel like I need it. This is just serving. It's almost like it's like a percussive part that follows the chord changes. Obviously it has harmonic and musical information, and it's not purely just a rhythmic element, but it's sort of serving the place of just texture. And so I don't really feel like we need to dive too deep into what that sound needs to be. Let's see what this slide part is also in that same zone that we were working on, this supporting sound. Okay, so that was the slide guitar was done in pre-production as a possible choice to double the leading part that I had Graham play. The electric guitar that we put the Valhalla shimmer on, way better, way cooler. Now that I'm focusing on this and turning it up, the bending of the notes and the movement. It's just making the part that Graham played just sound a little bit sloppy and a little obscuring it a little bit. So this is something we are going to remove from the session. We don't need it. Was nice to have the option. All right, so that's guitars covered. Okay, so let's just kind of review what we have for programming and make sure that we are balanced well with that. There's this bottle loop.
I was on the wrong side of a smoking gun. I regret more than half that I've done. I was on the wrong side of a political line, saying yes to all the
Okay, that's cool. It does a little bit. It does a little bit of the hi-hat feel. So that's why I panned it over to the other side. I like having it in there. It gives this a nice bright sort of rhythm to it. That is a good friend companion for the hi-hat. But just I ended up turning it down just a touch and getting it over to the other side a little bit. Let's see what these echo hits are doing.
Holding on to what
They go with these 808 hits down here.
holding on,
Where are those?
holding on to what
And there's these hits as well. Though all those things kind of work together, I kind of want to turn up these echoes just a tiny bit.
holding on to what I've done. Won't carry the weight.
Cool. What else we got? We got the pan. What's the pan?
We stood up for what's right, at least in our own eyes. Never stopped to consider what a mess we'd become.
Now, see, this is just a nice tone. That's tuned to the key of the song. It plays the backbeats with the snare, but what it does, it ties the drum kit and the pattern of the drum to this keyboard this keyboard sound. Where is it? I think it's this one. That comes in, that's in the second verse. It's in the choruses and intro and stuff, but it becomes a little bit more of a feature in the second verse, and it's sort of, that helps tie the drums to that vibe.
Of a murderous mob.
And there's this verse loop, which is very cool.
Never stopped fight of a murder. We stood up. We stood up for. We stood up
Actually, I'm not sure that we need it.
in our own eyes. In our own eyes. Never.
I think it's confusing the rhythm of stuff that's going on. It's definitely a nice option, but we have additions that are coming in the second verse that we didn't have in the first verse. So it just feels like it's too much information. You gotta be always aware of trim the fat. Always record good ideas as long as you feel like they have a possibility and they're contributing. But then also once you've made that decision, you get a little further along. Sometimes you got to trim that stuff out. Try to keep it streamlined. So that's sort of the mode I'm in at the moment. I'm balancing things and making sure that we hear all the things that we want to hear, but then also it's a matter of getting rid of the things that aren't really contributing. That sort of seems like it's in an odd spot, but if we move it back so that it's hitting. Almost think that it would be better if it. Let's use it as a reverse sound. How about that? Let's try this. Otherwise, I think it's time to fire it. Where is reverse? There we go. So we're going to flip this baby around. And then it probably needs to be slipped into place just a little bit. That does more for me than what it was doing before. It's a little less. that's cool. All right. What are these sweeps doing? Cool. They're almost loud enough. I'll probably ramp them up a little bit with some automation. Okay, we got all these kick drums. Let's see what's going on with them. Maybe we don't need them all anymore. Let's see, or we need to balance them differently. When I turn this one off, it seemed to help the picture a little bit. And it's got some of the frequencies and tone that we ended up getting in the drum kit.
I was on the wrong side of a smoking gun. You better believe I regret more than half that I've done. I was on the wrong side of a political line, saying yes to all.
Cool. These two balanced this way give a little bit of dynamic dimension and weight to the drum pattern. I like that. Let's check out what we got for these snares. Here they are. Let's make this loop. And we'll just stay in the intro part. They just give a nice little bit of dimension and weight to things. Maybe we'll leave the EQ in there. I think that's fine. Okay, so let me show you this little bit of. Just do a little bit of parallel compression. I do. I like this. Sometimes I use this on keyboards. This Manley on keyboards or percussion or acoustic guitars. So, and the reason I like it, it's another great plugin where that UA makes, where the mix knob works really, really well on it. I don't always like a mix knob on a plugin. Sometimes it doesn't really quite add up or sound the way I want it to, but this is good. So I'm just looking for just a little bit of punch and parallel compression out of this. Has a way of just kind of bringing it to life a little bit and adds a little bit of heft to it. It's probably making it just a tiny bit louder too, which seems to be a good thing. let's actually try this EQ after. Oops. Come on, go away. Here, actually. Got Pro Q or Pro Q2 going on, got Pro Q3 going on. Let's go 3 here. So I just did a little EQ post the little bit of bus compression that I got going on. Got rid of some of the subby stuff that's not going to come up through on very many speakers other than a subwoofer on those program kicks, and just add a little bit of weight to them up around 125, because that's up above where I've kind of got the drum kit working for the weight, and just like it's just helping relieve the low frequencies and add a little bit of punch to the bottom end. And actually listen to it again, I actually don't like this boost. I think I was feeling needing to take away this like 320 a little bit, as opposed to boosting down here. It's that subtractive EQ can be oftentimes be more of your friend than adding stuff. I mean, that's the thing in mixing, where obviously we're trying to like get everything to be heard and filling all the space and filling it up. Not trying to take all the dynamics out of it, but trying to fill all the space. And sometimes it's actually more important to know what to take away to clear something up and create space so things can fit together, as opposed to just boost everywhere. It's like just clean things up a little bit, clear things out a little bit, and things will fit together a little bit better. The answer is not necessarily keep piling things on, but maybe take some things out of the room so you can actually focus on what the highlights of the space are. All right. I think we got through, that was pretty much all of the percussive programming elements. I guess I see one little thing. We do not need the percussion reverb. I didn't really hear needing it on anything. So for right now, I'm going to hide it and make it active. I mean, the less I have to look at, the less scrolling I have to do, the less, like, oh, we're not going to use this bass sub. I don't feel like I need any synthesized low end to help me with the bottom end. I didn't really ever get, I know I balanced the bass keys, but didn't really pay much attention to 808. It's been feeling fine. I'm just going to check it out. Great. I was in a pretty good spot. I just kind of turned it down a touch and cleaned the bottom end up a tiny bit. Because it sounds great on these big speakers that I'm listening to, but I'm going to switch it over to some small ones. Yeah, getting rid of some of the very low end that's not going to come through on small speakers actually lets it contribute and be heard, as opposed to just holding the speakers in place. Trying to reproduce something that you're never going to hear on them anyways. Okay, so let's go to the keyboards. We listened to that hit already. I feel like that needs that keyboard needs just a little bit of touch of this reverb. And there's a keyboard reverb. I think it's, well, let's see if memory serves me. We should have it as a, oh, there's nothing assigned to it. You know, it's a cool keyboard reverb is the AMS, the 16. So it already has a little bit of this kind of ambience on it. It's kind of a non-linear reverb where the sustain, like it sustains in a different way that's very consistent and just kind of tails off. It doesn't sound like a traditional space. It's kind of more like a parking garage where the sound just kind of goes on and on and on and on. So the thing is I like the sound of it, but it's just like the ambience that was printed and created with it kind of dies a little bit too fast. So I just pulled up something that I knew. This is a fantastic reverb. There's great plates and chamber emulation, digital reverbs in here. But I specifically wanted to pull it up for this ambience.